Every 21 seconds, someone dies from tuberculosis globally. In 2019, 10 million people were estimated to contract tuberculosis, with 1.5 million recorded fatalities attributed to the disease. This makes tuberculosis one of the top 10 causes of death and the leading cause of death where a single infectious agent is involved worldwide. If you haven't heard of tuberculosis, you're probably lucky to reside in one of the few global locations with enviably low infection rates. Australia has maintained one of the lowest rates of tuberculosis in the world, with 5.1 cases per 100,000 people, equating to approximately 1,375 cases in 2018. So what is tuberculosis and why is it so out of control? Tuberculosis is an infectious bacterial disease characterized by the growth of nodules in the tissues, especially the lungs. Tuberculosis is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. These are aerobic, slender, rod-shaped mycobacteria with a waxy cell wall. This cell wall makes them incredibly hardy and enables resistance to weak disinfectants and allows their survival on dry surfaces for months at a time. This microbacterium can manifest itself across most bodily systems, with the highest percentage of cases associated with the lungs. We therefore categorize tuberculosis into pulmonary and extrapulmonary tuberculosis. Normally, when we inhale, the turbulence of airflow into the upper airway drives most bacteria against mucus lining the internal airway for clearance. The waxy cell wall of the tuberculosis microbacteria allows the bypassing of this mucus trap for continuation into the lung alveoli. Luckily, the body has a second line of defense concerning the macrophages. These macrophages recognize the tuberculosis microbacteria on the cell surface as foreign particles. They then engulf the particle and phagocytose them into the macrophage cell, where they are packed into a phagosome. The macrophage then fuses the tuberculosis-containing phagosome and lysosome. This lysosome releases hydrolytic enzymes that can break down most biochemical molecules. Unfortunately for us, tuberculosis microbacteria produces a protein that inhibits the fusion of the lysosome with the phagosome and allows the microbacteria to survive as well as proliferate. This proliferation results in a localized infection. Approximately 3 weeks after the onset of infection, a process called cell-mediated immunity kicks in. This is where immune cells surround the site of tuberculosis infection to form a granuloma in order to contain the bacteria and prevent its spread. Tuberculosis infection almost always involves the surrounding lymph nodes, which undergo necrosis with the granuloma. This causes a GON complex consisting of calcified and fibrotic tissue, which can be identified via X-ray. In some patients, this immune response is enough to completely destroy the tuberculosis microbacteria. However, in other cases, the tuberculosis remains viable but inactive, known as latent. Any disruption to the immune system in this second case can result in reactivation of the bacteria contained in the granuloma, resulting in reinfection, which can extend to other parts of the lungs and vascular system, as a result of the memory T-cell-induced tissue necrosis via cytokine release. This is one way extrapulmonary tuberculosis can manifest. So how do I know if I have tuberculosis? In short, you probably won't. In the case that tuberculosis is completely destroyed by the immune response or resides in a granuloma in its latent form, then no symptoms will occur whatsoever. If you have tuberculosis in its active or reactivated form, you will often have mild to moderate flu-like symptoms as the body mounts an immune response. As part of the immune response, increased mucus secretion commences to try and maximize the amount of bacteria that can be trapped in the upper airway. Additional swelling and irritation caused by the localized infection can also cause a cough. Coughing up blood can result from inflammation and aggravation of the lungs and airways, which can be worsened by persistent coughing. Chills, night sweats, and fevers are all associated with the body's immune response, which is to raise core temperature. This is because it is harder for bacteria to survive at higher temperatures. Chest pain or pain with breathing and coughing caused by the thickening and scarring from the tissue death associated with the tissue necrosis occurring with the action of immune cells on the tuberculosis bacteria, which can also lead to reduced blood perfusion. This can cause irritation in the chest cavity as well as decrease the efficiency of oxygen exchange between the blood and lungs, resulting in ischemia and related pain. Loss of appetite and unintentional weight loss are both attributed to the increase in cytokine release by the memory T cells during the active phase of tuberculosis. This decreased food intake allows the body to dedicate more energy to fighting off the tuberculosis bacteria instead of allocating energy to digestion. If extrapulmonary tuberculosis develops, patients can go on to develop sterile pyorrhea, meningitis, Pott's disease, Addison's disease, hepatitis, and lymphadenitis, which can become fatal. Tuberculosis is contagious, but it is not easy to catch. Those who contract the disease are often exposed to someone with active tuberculosis for long periods of time. The latent form is not contagious. The main risk factor for tuberculosis is a weakened immune system, so maintaining a healthy lifestyle is the best prevention, and prevention is the best cure.